Greetings friends, it's me Wayman, and this is a video response to Ozzy's CDA, responding to questions, groups, or individuals. Interesting conversation, and Ozzy, I'm getting into the Eisenman books currently, and when I've read more, I'll get on and do some discussions with you, because I really enjoy those discussions. One of the things I wanted to add to your video responding to questions, groups, or individuals was some observations that I discussed with my buddy when we were on a hiking trip, and we had discussions about how the individual is affected by groups, and how sometimes individuals are bullied into making some bad decisions within the group atmosphere or the group influence. And one of the things was based on survival, and I watched some videos where this guy had this program where he would take people who were interested in survival techniques and all, put them out in the woods as pairs, and then have them survive for a weekend, do a minimalist survival camp out, and then go back and review what happened, what they would have changed, what they would have done differently. And a lot of times certain people in those pairs or in those groups made some really bad decisions that the whole group followed and paid dearly for, and it was sometimes detrimental to the group. And especially if these people who are misinformed have no idea what they're talking about and make bad decisions, it affects the whole group. If they're leaders, they're very forceful with their opinions. So even now you see it in politics with the election coming up. You also see it in some secular groups, conservationist groups, whether it's women's rights or a whole bunch of different things. And sometimes if people are undecided about what to do, for whatever reason it is, they end up becoming maybe persecuted for that or chastised for that, just because they're undecided or they ask questions. So I think that the idea of the group and group values, group morals, group ideas of virtue are much different than the individual morals, individual idea of virtue, because a lot of times virtue is set by the group. So the thing that the group sees as benefiting them ends up being a virtue. The thing that does not ends up being a vice. However, that's different to the individual, because for individual survival it might be much different, and there may be different things that might be seen to the individual as being virtuous or moral. However, the group may deem that as a group amoral or the workings of vice. So it's kind of a toss-up, and when people flow between the individual and the group, definitely changes need to be made. Definitely the group is good for collaboration, like building shelters in a survival situation. In religion, it's good for learning theology and setting down certain values, cultural values, that the individual can feel included in that group, participate in that group, rituals, a whole bunch of different things. And on the other hand, like I said before, the decision making for the individual can also be damaging. So very interesting. Like I think that there needs to be some kind of flow between individual and group. Definitely we need to do that, and it's important for people to ask questions when they make that leap from the individual to the group, or from the group to the individual. And just because a person makes a leap, and it's really hard for people who are parts of groups and always were a part of groups and never really had the individual experience of being outside the group, they see the individual when they're at odds with the group as being maybe troublesome, or maybe even you might be labeled a heretic, things like that, because they really don't understand the side of the individual. So I think that's something that people need to look at too. Like, the reason why I'm questioning these beliefs is not the group beliefs, but the individual looking at the group. And that's why a lot of people sometimes don't join groups. They say, yeah, so and so is a good group. However, my individual values don't line up with the group idea. And then there's some who say, well, there's one or two things in the group that I could really benefit from, and I'm going to put aside my moral and my ideas of virtue and join this group to achieve those kinds of goals. And a lot of times groups will say, and a lot of times people will say, that, or individuals, that morality and virtue are the same across the board. They are not. They're much different, as I said before, from the group and from the individual point of view. So, I don't know if that's anything. Hopefully I just wasn't rambling. It's good to see you on, Ozzy, and I look forward to discussing the Eisman books with you. Like I said before in the comments, ask Eisman on Facebook about those books before you buy anything. And he could give you an answer. He got right back to me, and that's what's nice about today. You can friend a lot of your favorite authors on Facebook, and there's a lot of good communication going on between readers and authors nowadays. So take care, be well, and remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.